We've made the choice, and this is the heart of Boma, to open up to questions, to open up to the dilemmas of our period. And this is why, for the first time, as compared to preceding years, we are opening up the dialogue, obviously in a moderate manner, since there are 2,800 participants here. But it's important to open the dialogue. And the other thing I wanted to say is that commitment is such that if we want to change things, we have to accept complexity. A simple commitment, which would consist in being in a pure view of commitment, cannot grow and develop on a larger scale. If we want to grow, we have to exchange with the players with whom we work, like Arnaud and the next speakers, people who are confronted by day-to-day reality, who have to make their companies continue to operate while trying to limit their impact on the environment. So this is a transition. The next speaker has written a book recently which has led to a lot of people talking about him, and that is the 21st, the company of the 21st century will be political or will not be. He is referring to an ethical type of leadership in companies. What's surprising is that he says that this ethical leadership creates performance. His field of activity is the insurance world, that of finance. He is the head of our insurance company. How can a player in this business sector end up having such a belief? So I now give the floor to the general manager of MAIF, Pascal Demurger.
Good evening. Well, but it's not that easy for a boss to come and discuss ethics. I would say that the managers, the leaders, are the ones who have the most powerful lever to change the world, and yet, they are the ones who are not the ones who want to use them just because they have some sort of a responsibility, which is profitability, sustainability, survival of a company. And faced with that real life, well, of course, there is a will to commit themselves, but not always, not very precisely. I can bear witness of the fact that myself, for a very long time, I was a very sort of traditional manager, even though I do not call myself from that world. I come from a rather modest family. My parents, they didn't go to school after the age of 13. Not only do I come from this simple type of family, but even as a teenager, I did nothing at school to get out of that modest family. I was, failure at school, and I could even tell you that I was at the limit of being a delinquent, I believe. And then, well, why not? Don't repeat it, but well, when I was, teenager, later, I heard one day my father discussing with a friend of my situation and what about a non-promising future. And this day I saw the way my father was, well, not despising me, but very sad. And I started thinking, and I started saying, I have to change, totally change. And I dedicated myself to really turn myself to studies. I'm a bit of an odd animal in a way, because I come from the elite school, but I was sort of stealing motorbikes. So at the same time, it's a bit complex, Not despite that age as a teenager, that difficult past, I started diving into that professional life. And after all, I forgot who I had been as a teenager and then becoming a very traditional manager, focusing on profitability, performance, competitiveness. And by the way, I was myself some sort of a conventional leader, roughly speaking, well, just controlling, yes, which is what many of you are very probably doing in their own professional life. It is only much later. This time, I did not see the way my father looked at me. I saw my children, the way they looked at me. It made me change. I understood, discussing with them, that the world, after all, that I was contributing to make live and grow was not the world in which they wanted to live. Simply not. Gosh, I was wrong. They represent the future, not me. So why is it that I should go on building the world in which they feel they want to live? I then started thinking about my life, and in a way I was re-engaging with the type of teenager I was, and I can tell you today that I know by experience that you can indeed build a company, you can build a system, a model of a company being fully committed with a sincere concern of the impact you will make on your stakeholders, on your environment, yet building an extremely high-performance company, trying to find part of that performance in its commitment. And I believe this deserves a couple of examples. First of all, what about the world of insurance, the one I live in? Well, many of you have one day or another been faced with your insurance company. Well, they systematically try to sell you something, whatever contract, whatever policy, even if you don't need one. I saw in the insurance company some people trying to sell an employment insurance policy to civil servants. Well, if you have to get a compensation, should you have a, disaster, they are reluctant to pay something. And in fact, what is the interest of an insurance company? It is at the opposite of the interest of the person insured. Now imagine you decide to take the problem conversely. In fact, you're just throwing the table down. What are we going to do? Let's do differently. With us, we ask our advisors, our marketing advisors, our sales forces, not to do forced sales, but to deliver a sincere and honest piece of advice. And by the way, to make sure they would not be tempted to do the opposite, we've banned all idea of a bonus, wages, commission, and fees based on the number of policies they would sell. No, we're encouraging the managers to spend more time in managing one specific dossier. And then we encourage them in delivering the best possible service, going right to the compensation phase. And if they so wish, and this is the decision in some cases, they could even go beyond the contractual obligations, beyond what is in fact anticipated by the guarantees. What does it give? What type of policy is this? Is that cost a fortune? Yes, it costs a fortune, except that in so doing, you're generating such a high level of satisfaction that it's unique on the insurance market. And thanks to that satisfaction level, we're generating, in fact, a loyalty level, customer loyalty, which is unique, totally different from what our competitors have. Meaning what? We're saving between 150 million euro every year of cost of acquisition. We don't have to invest in that. And obviously, this money that we are saving, we can recycle it. Quality of advice, quality of management, quality of compensation. This is a win-win situation on both sides, the company and the customer. Commitment, performance are there. This is one such example in the world of insurance. You might widen it out to any type of company. Discuss management. Supposing your boss tells you, well, after all, my concern now will not be profitability. It won't be performance. No, not productivity. My concern will be each and everyone's fulfillment in the work. What are they going to do to their intent, considering that this is something honest and sincere? Well, they're going to do their best to try and improve the company's well-being, welfare of the staff, giving a meaning to their action and to their daily professional life, trying to trust them, delegating, empowering more and more. And then they will try and incorporate culture that they have to try and base the relations between the various staff members and management based on more attention, much more than on competition and individual actions. What will they obtain? Well, they should obtain a level of fulfillment which will be much higher and a level of engagement and commitment that will be much stronger. This is something that we've done ourselves, this type of management situation, a couple of years back. Number one, on, after a couple of years, 25% decrease in the risk level. And a couple of months ago, there was someone at the head office of my company. I met a lady whom I didn't know, and she told me, Mr. Demurger, could I tell you something? I've been, I should have retired a couple of months back, and I decided to stay with you because what I see in your company is something I want to see, something I want to participate in. And let me tell you, I want to see how far you're going. One of the union leaders in my company, not a very nice type, not a progressive type of union, I must say. And he came to see me a couple of months ago, and he said, we've discussed a lot within my union section, and the conclusion was the following. We may be wrong, but we believe you're sincere and honest. Number two, well, what you're doing for the company is in the right direction. We want to be consistent, so we decided collectively in my union to help you in setting up that new policy. And we're very much aware, I am aware, he says, in telling you this, that if you go right to the end, I will not be of any use tomorrow as a union member. Well, that's internally. I could also discuss, companies in their environment. Suppose that an organization accepts to pay taxes. I don't want to do, fiscal evasion at all costs. We paid in France last year more taxes than Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, all together. All the GAFA together. More than those. Imagine that a company, in fact, would be sincerely concerned of their impact on the environment, which is what we do in the core of activities and in all our support functions. As a result, we are the only insurance company that is part of the preferred brand of French people. It gives the financial performance because over the last 10 years we have multiplied our result by 15. So you can tell me, yes, but MAIF is a type of very specific company. It's a mutual fund company. You have no shareholders. You have a culture of engagement which is there. Yes, you are an activist almost. Yes, but in fact, if we can prove that by this commitment we can have an impact, being sincere and create performance, then the model is good and it can be replicated elsewhere, so it can be generalized everywhere. This is when we're going to have a global impact. But then be careful. Each of us has a specific role to play. Consumer, staff member, saving also. You have to select the companies which you will be investing or to which you will contribute. And we also have to modify, in fact, the behaviors that we have within a company or outside the company. And it is, in fact, with this in mind that we shall have a real impact on the world. And in addition, and this I can bear witness, I can tell you that the day you really will all align, where you don't have a personal ambition of success, no, but more of a collective ambition to contribute to the world, then this day you will find a real fulfillment in your own life. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Pascal. A couple of questions for Pascal. Philip Goldstein, you may have a question? Yes. It's a managerial type of question around the way you've successfully managed a MAIF, this insurance company. Question one, a lot of questions on your sales force. How can you incentivize them with the type of job they have? Two things. I am a strong believer in the way you can encourage, motivate people much more around you, whether they were your colleagues, by being proud of them. I really believe it. When, a salesperson is proud of what he or she does, not selling just everyone to anyone, but really selling a real guarantee, something useful, adjusted to each and everyone's situation, yes, I believe they can be naturally motivated at the end of the day. company. Number two, when you're generating in the company that effect of a collective pride, when you create a climate in which you have not competition, but assistance, cooperation, when you feel excited, you don't feel resisting or reluctant to, well, then you will see each individual member of your company in contact with the customers, being the ambassador of your brand, a wonderful ambassador. There is a symmetry between what you see within and what happens within and what you see from the outside. And if within you have good, positive, kind relations, then the relation with customers will be very good. You trust inside, trust outside. If there's a stress inside, you will necessarily see stress outside. Okay, another question back in the company. The way the word is circulated, the way you really listen to others, and the way you're listening to your staff, how do you do this? I also believe in what I call a horizontal company. Horizontal in the way decisions are taken, very close to what the question is posed. People must not be there just to execute or deliver a process. No, people must be there to find a solution, and then they will deliver much more. But also, I'm also convinced that when a company takes a decision which will have an impact on many individuals, these individuals must participate and contribute to the decision, whatever the type of decision. Suppose you're hiring someone in a team, I find that people in that team must be part of that recruitment process that will live on a daily basis with that person. Suppose you are, restructuring the social agreements the way we have to do it in our workplace, where we did it in a participatory manner. Everyone participating. 10% of the 800 staff members contributing to drafting and organizing the project. And obviously, we have relevant decisions and easy decisions to take, I must say. Okay, sales force, organization are up. Shareholders, decision makers, the political decision makers, your stakeholders, your counterparts in the French environment. That's part of the questions raised. How do you convince them? Well, from within, and then I'll say from the outside what we do. From within, I must say that I'm convinced by the results and performance. This cannot work. It cannot be made sustainable if we're not capable of proving that it really works. Fingers crossed. But as I told you, we've seen a spectacular, dramatic increase over the last 10 years of our results. I, for one, am a strong believer of the fact that being very attentive to what your staff needs and doing. What about society, the environment? Well, yes, it does generate performance. And as long as you have performance, well, governance is there. Now, as to the other stakeholders, my counterparts or competitors, in fact, and I've seen this really strongly, in fact, it all changed in 2019. Before 2019, you had very few managers concerned by these topics. We now see a lot of leaders. I don't know. I don't want to speak in their name. I don't know whether they feel concerned, but I see a lot of leaders that have become aware of that social expectations from the company expressed, well, first of all, in the staff, because the staff tries to find a meaning in the work they do. You see the fact that your brand as an employer is there, because it's difficult to recruit, in fact, people if you cannot demonstrate or show that a company has that type of commitment. So this is social, societal, and then consumers and clients, because it is expressed also with those, in the saving business, we see pension fund members. Well, you may have a doubt on the sincerity, but saying that they look very much into these topics, and you see more and more leaders who are putting the question. And to be honest, they come and see me, I must say, to try and see what did you do? How does it work? Thank you very much, Pascal. Thank you.